Do you like Funkos?
Do you like Funkos?
Do you like to eat?
Do you like to eat?
Are you a geek?
Are you a geek?
Geek Meets Eats. Oh, it's time to pop, y'all.
Oh, Geek Meets Eats.
We got Funko Pops up in here, handmade robots over there. We got comic books up in here, cooking up a storm over there.
Oh, Geek Meets Eats.
Oh, Geek Meets Eats.
Good evening, everybody. Oh, are you going to pop up and say hi to everybody early? Say hi, everybody. Yeah, she's curled up in my lap, which is probably where she's going to be for most of tonight. So thank you for joining me a little bit later than normal, about an hour and a half later. I'm normally ending right about now, and we're getting started. So I had a late appointment today for work, and then they're also in California, so it kind of worked out for us to go a little bit later based on schedules and everything else. So they'll be joining at about 8:45. Hey, Caitlin. Well, because there's a reason I have it still up, but it'll probably be up next week too, and then I get to take it down. I'm waiting on something. So just to announce right off the bat, next week Mary will be back from Handmade by Robots. I got a package in from them, but I'm gonna save that for next week so that I can open it then with Mary on there, and it'll be interesting. So there was a little bit of a friendly bet that happened last weekend over football, and so she's going to be fulfilling that bet right there and there. So sorry, family. So yeah, okay, one of the things I want to talk about, and I don't know how many of you guys are watching yet, but is I saw Rock and Rose video today regarding the fact that he hates the fact that the new sodas that came out for Black Panther at least do not have piece counts on him. And so I want to talk about it. I didn't buy them because of the fact that they didn't have piece counts on them, because I figured A, they'd be worthless. Hey, Mama J. And B, how are they going to keep track of the 1 in 6 if there's no piece counts? Yeah, I mean, how do you know that that's what's going to be out there? It just seems a little weird. At least you know the chase is X out of, I mean, if it's $1 million, it's $1 million, whatever you guys are going to do. But I think what the fun has been about opening those sodas, and I agree with Jim, is that with the exclusivity of it, if you got a chase and it was a certain number, so like the Hulk 3-liter chase that I pulled, that was only 1 out of 800, I think. And so that makes it special. You know, it like the pink Batman, that makes it special. Hey, Eric. So if this is going to be the norm for Funko, the lack of piece counts, it may be the thing that turns me off from sodas. And that's exactly what I've been collecting more of, is the sodas than the pops. There's been a lot less pops that I've seen that I've wanted versus the sodas, because every single time you open a soda, you've got that chance at a chase. And so without having the piece counts on it, I don't know that there's that. Hey, Tats. I don't know that there's that drive to go out and purchase them, because you want them. Demetrius, how are you? I don't know that you want them for your collection if there's not, doesn't make it special. And that's the exclusivity is what drives the value of them. And although there's a lot of chases that I have that I went after because I wanted them. I'm still after the astronaut. I think I have 3 more coming at some point. they had an article on Funko on Yahoo today talking about moving to Arizona. Demetrius got a new pop today. Which one did you get? Actually, when I went to my appointment at 5, which turned out to be kind of, I didn't need to go tonight because they didn't have the drywall down. So I could have stayed home, but hopefully I get to go back, which would be cool. But they had a Funko Pop in the basement, and so I started talking about that, and then he showed me his son's room, and his son's got vinyl up on the wall, and he had a Starry Night, and we started talking about the Legos. So, there's that coolness about that. Yeah, I mean, is this going to be the norm though, or is this just something they were kind of trying out with the Black Panther? I'm not really sure if they're going to go to no piece counts, because there's been some that have come out recently with piece counts and some that haven't. But if it's all going to be no piece counts, I don't know how they are going to guarantee a 1 in 6, because how many do you know how to make? And I don't know what the point would be, because they could just continue to make them and make them and make them and make them and make them. And there's some people collect for value. I mean, the whole reason you go after a chase, unless it's one of your favorite characters, is because it has more value. So, hang on, my mother. Oh, we're going to a fundraiser for a gentleman who has brain tumors next week. So she was sending me the menu. Anyway, sorry about that. I think my mom doesn't realize I'm on stream right now because I didn't tell them. Whatever. They usually just figure it out. So that's something to think about. I mean, are you guys going to continue to collect sodas if they stop doing piece counts altogether? Or is it something that you will continue to go after no matter what? Obviously, then the new shiny toy for Funko is the NFTs, but then, a lot of people have been speculating on that. Some of the drops didn't sell out. I know the retro toys one did. I ended up hitting the grail on that, my first one ever. So that was cool. And, this was my first redemption that I got, this guy. So, that's part of the thrill of the hunt now is doing the NFT drops and then trying to get that. So Demetrius, which pop did you pull? My little old lady, she's just laying in my lap. Oh, okay. Iron Spider. Okay, cool. Nice. Yeah, Mama J needs all the Snoop Dogg pops. I mean, if I would have known some of the people that were going, I would have reached out to them and told them to get her a set. So, okay. Got a couple minutes. I'm just going to explain kind of how this happened. So a couple of months ago, if you guys remember, I interviewed Figure X, and he was doing his own collectible line. Never take the tree down. Hey, Foxy. And so I saw, I'm still, following Figure X, and I followed all the stuff that he's trying to do. And so I saw this video that was done, and Zander is the one who did the video. So I had liked the video on it, and Zander reached out to me. And at first, it was like, because I didn't know him, I was like, okay, what's this? Because I've also, I don't know if anybody else has been seeing this, but I keep getting mentions in stories, and it's for like clothing brands or something, like random, and some of it's in foreign languages. And so I was like, well, I clicked on it anyway just to see, and I'm glad that it did. Hey, Mary, how are you? And so he said, oh, you get an entry for this, and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay, what's this? And so I clicked on the link, and it was to the Figure X thing. And I said, oh, he's great, isn't he? And we started a conversation. And it turns out Zander and I have a lot in common. First DM for collab to work out, pretty much, and it's an actual. No, it's not the first DM for a collab to work out. Obviously. Hey, Christina Payne. So we started talking. We have a lot in common, which we'll get into once they arrive here in a couple of minutes, about 5 minutes out. But I will say this is that sometimes take a chance, because Zander's turned out to be a super cool guy. He started talking about the Sunfire Hotsauce, and so I ended up going to their website and looking, and obviously that I was like, ooh, I want to try this one. Ooh, I want to try this one. Ooh, I want to try this one. And so he's actually just popped in. So let's bring him on.
Hey,
how's it going?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, dear. So I was just entering. So it was Zander kind of popped up in my DMs, and at first I was like, who is this guy? What's going on? And then I started talking to him about it, everything. And I was like, oh, like we have all this stuff in common. And I was telling him, I'm like, oh, I just did the one chip challenge right before New Year's. I just did this one.
Oh yeah. That's dangerous.
Ooh, it hurt. I've done 2 of those, both of the Death Nut challenges, the Satan's Toe, the Nitro Gummy Bear, the world's hottest popcorn. So I've kind of, I mostly do it for a charity event, for like somebody's getting something if I'm putting my body through this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like eating a Reaper. Some of those.
Yeah. So BK Phipps is Christina. She's one of my good friends. So then he kind of told me about what he was doing with you, and that these entries were to win a bottle of hot sauce. And I was like, that's when I explained the hot stuff. And then I went to your website, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, the one that caught my eye first, and I know it's limited edition, but I did order a bottle of it, was the black garlic mandarin, because I have like a ton of thoughts of what I want to do. So my goal is, once these sauces arrive, because I ordered 3 bottles, once they arrive, we do live cooking demonstrations on here too. So what I want to do is then take those sauces, and I want to talk to you a little bit more on like what you think I should try, and then we're going to create recipes around the hot sauces and do an episode on that.
Oh, that's amazing. Beautiful. So that's let me know when you do that, because I definitely want to be there.
Yeah. So until Zander gets here, I want to talk to you. So why hot sauce? I mean, how did you get into that's what you wanted to do? I mean, was this has been your life's goal, or were you doing something beforehand? Or
it's funny because like I've always liked spicy stuff. I'll say that first. But even I'm a chef. I'm a trained chef, and I trained in Hawaii. Went to KCC. Shout out to KCC, Kapiolani Community College. It was ranked number 25 in the nation at the time when I decided to go there. And I said, "Oh, it's affordable and it's a good school." So I went to culinary school. But my backstory was I just kind of was into art. I was into music. My mom's actually an artist. My dad's he studied Chinese herbalism. And I grew up in Baltimore City, where there's just a lot, it's the East Coast. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So I always just was a curious kid, I guess. But I decided when I moved to Hawaii after about 10 years of waiting tables and being in the hospitality industry, I decided, oh, you know what? It's funny because I saw Ratatouille, and it was that the whole motto is anyone can cook. But at the time I was like, I know I can cook. I've always been in the kitchen. I've always been around the kitchen. But I decided to go to that school after getting my residency, after living in Hawaii for 2 years. And I said, let me give it a try. So, I went to culinary school. I had a great time. I did well. And through that all, I got married. I had kids. And my wife actually is from Huntington Beach. Okay. So that's what brought me to San Diego. And when I got here, I was debating, where I should work. So I got a phone call right before we moved from the Ritz-Carlton. And they said, we want to call you in for an interview. And I said, oh, great, great. Right away, I think the interview was like a couple days after we got here. And then after that, they didn't call me back. And I was like, oh, no. So, I was wondering if I got that. So I just applied for a couple other places. And I went to Legoland. I thought it'd be fun. Legoland was close to my house. And I said, oh, the kids would love this if I got a job there. It's not going to be the greatest, job as a cook, but it'll be fun that I'll get free tickets and discounts and they actually funny story, they were going to pay me more than the Ritz-Carlton. But I said, I took the job, and the day I was in orientation, the Ritz-Carlton called me and they offered me the job. So I called my brother-in-law up, and he's Jamaican, but he also was born and raised in New York. And I said, hey, what should I do? And he goes, it's the Ritz, baby. That's all he had to say. So I took that offer, worked my way up. But while I was there, I saw so many people making these amazing salsas, on the East Coast and in Hawaii, you got a lot of people making, pineapple or mango pico de gallo, and there's never really saw the process of like a roasted salsa or a boiled salsa. I always liked chips and salsa, but I never saw that process. So give a shout out to my friend Fabian, we started together. He was actually from Guatemala, and he taught me. He was the first person to kind of teach me how to roast all the ingredients and make a salsa. So we had to make salsas, for IRD Kitchen and everything. And I just found I fell in love with it. I fell in love with all the different peppers, all the different flavors you could do, and then we realized we could make it with fruit, and we can make it with anything, and then chili chiles, and making a garlic based one. So to kind of end there, it was just, that's where it kind of came all together for me with salsa. It was at the Ritz-Carlton where I witnessed a guy make a chili chiles salsa.
So good.
It was so good. Oh my God. He did it by just roasting everything in a salamander. He took a heavy bottle, it was a truffle bottle, which had a heavy bottom, and he crushed everything up with that. And I go, you're not going to put that in a blender or a RoboCoupe? He's like, no need. And it was the best thing I ever had. So at that moment, I figured it's not necessarily about, the technique, or it's about the love for it and finding the ingredients and the balance. And, he was the first person that kind of showed me the light, and Ritz-Carlton actually had this is in Laguna Beach. They had a salsa competition. Hey, Zander, there he is.
Sorry for taking.
No worries. And that salsa competition, I would have won best unique flavor, but I put it in the wrong category.
Oh,
They told me
no.
that. I go, no. But I realized I had some talent in making, salsas. And that process is what I took when I developed the mango habanero. That was my first flavor. I was never really like someone to say, I'm going to make a hot sauce company. I always had dreams of maybe owning my own restaurant. I was obsessed with like Gordon Ramsay and a lot of the good chefs that were on TV. Grew up watching Yan Ken cook. I actually met him in Hawaii. That was a PBS show
Nice.
back in the day. And he actually told me, keep going with it. You look like you're a strong man. You can do this. And in the kitchen, it's tough because it's very competitive. It's heat and fire and sharp objects everywhere. But as a creative mind, like I said, coming from my mom, who's an artist, a visual artist, I always had that eye for art as well when it came to food. Looks good, tastes good, right?
Exactly.
You eat with your eyes first, all that good stuff. But that's why I made this sauce, and that's why the wax seal and all that stuff, because I didn't want it just to necessarily taste good. I wanted the bottles to look good.
Look good.
I wanted to put it all together. I wanted some cool flavors, some cool combination, and I felt like I always had a knack for putting together flavors. That was kind of my specialty or my superpower as far as a cook. It's just not necessarily settling for this is good. I needed this to be great, you know, and every
No,
single
I
time.
hear you.
So.
You know, I started off, I was kind of explaining to Zander, and welcome Zander. I was kind of explaining to Zander that my first version of having a YouTube show started when COVID hit, and I don't know if Fox is still here, but Fox was my first co-host, and we started having different other YouTubers and people from the community come on the channel, and it was, you know, an organic interview process. But I've always loved to cook, so I've tried out for MasterChef. I made it all the way through the first several rounds of interviews just to find out that I didn't have enough of a backstory, enough drama. I wasn't big enough to actually go to LA. So I made it through all the other rounds until it came down to that. And I tried out for Food Court Wars, and we came out. We were the third. We were the alternate in case somebody dropped out. And the reason they didn't pick us, even though they liked our menu, our business plan, and everything else better, was because we were not from the area where they were filming. And so they thought they would have a better turnout of the people in that area because of the fact that they were from the area, and one already had an established restaurant, which I was like, come on, man, you already have an established location. Now you want to go in the mall? Like, give somebody else a chance, kind of a thing. And then I did a second version of a channel. It didn't last very long. Our his job and my job, like the timing didn't work out for him to be able to show up all the time. And I was about ready to just give up on the whole YouTube thing altogether. And I started talking to my friends, and I started talking to my parents and stuff like that. And I'm like, what if I just do this on my own? And what if I kind of countercross the eat side of things with the collectibles side of things? So I have this whole backdrop of collectibles here. And then, but we've also done, you know, we did a whole thing. We grew our own garlic at the farm. And, we did a garlic episode. We've done brown butter, and, you know, we've done Irish cooking, all this kind of stuff. And it's been really fun because I've also been able to bring my family into it. So my mom gets in on it. My nephew and my niece have both gotten in on it. My dad. So it's been fun, you know, kind of bringing them into this world as well, and you know, playing around with them. And she's not here because I know she's taking a nap right now. But Teresa Newell I was talking to Zander as well, as I got back into comics. And so I mean, honestly, like Zander, I don't think you were listening, but I was kind of explaining how this all came about, and how at first I was like, all right, what kind of scam is this? Because I've been getting these stories, you know, where they're like, oh, mentioning me in the story, and it was some clothing company and something else. And
right.
And then you were like, oh, you get an entry. And I'm like, for what? But then I clicked on it, and then I said, you and I started talking, and it was one of those things where it's like that God winks moment where you realize that if you just give somebody a chance and talk to them, that sometimes it works out, because you and I had so much in common. In fact, I thought I'd show that off.
Let me get mine so we can be twins.
Oh, look at you guys.
Yeah, so I've got that version too, and then I've got this one with the barcode on it.
Oh, sick. That's beautiful.
So the difference between that, so if I have the other one like that, but it's not graded, like yours isn't graded. The difference between this one graded and that one graded is about $800.
Woo! What's the story behind the barcode on that? Like, why is
so? And that's the other thing I noticed is every single website that I've gone to, the one with the barcode is the newsstand edition, because obviously they would scan it at the store.
Right.
But if you notice, they misprinted the top of this, and it says direct.
Oh, okay.
That one that you have with no barcode is the direct edition. So I was confused because I looked it up, and this came up as the newsstand. And like I said, the difference between the value of this one versus the value of that one, if they both had the same grade, is the last 9.8 of the direct sold for about $150. This one sold for almost $1,000. So that's the big difference. This is my holy grail of comic books right here.
That's what you were talking about when we were okay. That's what
that's what we were talking about.
That's
and you know, our Figure X, and like you said, putting love out into the world. That is probably the most positive interview I have ever done on this show, and listening to him and like how he brings in the community and things that he's done, the murals and all that kind of stuff that he's done is just amazing, and he was just such a positive person. And I got a lot of feedback from people watching about how positive of a human being that he was.
Exactly.
And we ended up losing connection towards the end of the show. I don't know where he was, but it kind of bummed me out because, like we didn't get to finish talking.
Right.
But I looked at, then I clicked onto your page, and then I was like, ooh. And you've done the shows, and I know you were up super early the other day because you were doing the show.
Right.
And so now my question is, now that I have both of you here, is how did this collaboration happen?
Oh man, you want to take it? You want to take it, Zander?
Yeah, man. So, how it really came about, I guess, like, the backstory is that I met Figure X first at Designer Con, and then from that moment, that was my first art convention. From that moment on, I had this surge of energy because I was coming off of an art tour. Designer Con was the last bit of that tour, which is kind of the height of what we do because we're street vendors. So we took it to, I guess, the industry in a way, independent grind. So I had this surge of energy that got shot into me because of that whole experience, and Figure X being the first person I talked to after I set my stuff up. He gave me the game. He showed me everything, from down to the base character, down to the silicone molds, down, to just everything that a person would need who wants to be a toy maker, which inevitably I would love to take my sculptures to that level, get something collectible on your shelf there. You know what I'm saying? So that's the start of it. I met Sai right after that. It was back to my first street event. Back off of that was maybe 3 weeks after Designer Con, and I was coming back to the regular world, which in a way it's not, and Sai can attest to that because we don't live a regular world when we're out there doing it every week that way. We see how irregular it is, and we see how the ambition behind our dreams is actually an energy source for all of us to come together, and hopefully it's a mirror of greatness. Hopefully when you see me, you see your inner greatness. When you see Sai, you see your inner greatness. So that's exactly the reflection I got when I met him. I immediately told him about my comic book because I have a comic book coming out this year.
Oh, nice.
And I'm excited about that. It's my own original story. I have original characters coming, and it's going to be something different. And I'm excited to bring it to Comic-Con LA at the end of this year. So I met him, and I just immediately started kind of telling him the vision. And we just went back and forth in conversation, and it was a really good one. And I had a really good day at that street fair, and we kept in touch. I want to say just a few weeks, and we had a good phone call maybe 2 weeks ago, right, Sai?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So I think, because I can't remember, everything's been kind of going so fast. So
2 or 3.
All this, as far as context, this is December, and then we started right at the 20th or maybe the 18th of December. So that's when we started kind of getting the energy rolling after our phone call. We kind of realized that we're, similar spirits in this life. So it was really kind of up from there. I did the Mr. Pine Ghost, which is the design from for our first collaboration piece, and so that's the bottle you'll be getting in the mail. And so just kind of like that, just doing my thing. That's all I can really say. I placed myself in I guess in the right spot, like you said, when God winks,
Mm-hmm.
And I really dig that, because that is kind of the story of my life. God is just constantly winking to the point where it just looks like, he's going crazy. So it's like, I'm just keeping my eyes wide open and looking for, whatever it is my calling is. My purpose here is again in life is to connect us all. You know what I mean? So just like this right here, I didn't just make this happen. You have your story that gives us this place. You know what I'm saying? Geeks Meets Eats. Wow. I'm the geek and I got to meet the eat. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
And so that's the story of my life, is that it's rolling the way it does. And I'm just grateful to be here. Again, thank you so much. I'm sorry for coming on late.
No, you're fine. And I know she'll be on next week, so if you pop into the chat next week, if you want to ask Mary questions, Mary's the, heads up Handmade by Robots, which I know you said you saw some of the videos, and that was another Godwinks moment, because I never thought at all that they would even return a message. And then when I said, hey, would you be willing to come on my little channel? They were like, heck yes. And now a year later, I mean, we were texting each other constantly on Sunday during the football games, because she's a Seahawks fan. I'm a Lions fan. I needed her to lose if we wanted a shot at the playoffs. And then when they won, she's like, your Lions have to win. And so it was kind of all this back and forth, between her and I, where friendships have developed out of that.
Right.
And I mean, if I could twist this a little bit, that's all Handmade by Robots. That whole
wow.
And
Yeah.
they're
Jeez.
amazing. If you guys haven't seen it, as far as the viewers on here, if you guys haven't seen it, I mean, just get with it. Because I thought it was what's that, knitted? I thought it was knitted. So and then I looked deeper. I'm like, whoa, that's actually a toy.
Yeah. Here I've got an elf one sitting here. So, if you haven't seen it yet, this is what they look like, and they look like
That's cool.
They look
I
like
love
they're
elf.
knitted, but the difference between this and Funkos is Funkos all have the basic head shape. They don't change it on the character themselves, but Handmade by Robots does. So, I mean, he kind of looks like Will. And the first one, they've got everything from Goonies to Princess Bride is coming out right now. I just saw that they were available on their site. So, that was one of those Godwinks things where now it's developed into a friendship, and, like literally we were talking back and forth, and it was, it's fun things, not just about the toys, but she might be able to give you some insight about how to, jump from the comic book characters into a toy line and stuff like that. And I told her about you as well, because of you being in graphic arts. So, Justin Hillgrove is their main designer at Handmade by Robots, but he's also at Imps and Monsters. He does all kinds of really cool artwork. I actually gave my brother the Star Wars prints that I got from him for his birthday, and then I have a Goonies one. But so he has a life outside of doing that as well. He's got his own drive and everything else. But I started picking through your Instagram, and I'll pull that up right now, and then we'll go to the website as well. But all right, here's Zander. So this is what caught my eye, was actually the green flash right here, because
beautiful.
yeah, I mean, I have to say that he kind of looks a little bit like you, and
Yeah.
and
It's a
so
handsome man.
the amazing thing is the difference between the three of these, between, this is very comic book with the dots and everything else, the shading as far as the pineapple goes. Then you're going a little more in depth with the green flash, and now with Raspberry Reaper, all of those are different versions of what you would think when you see comics. You would think that's three different artists.
That's dope. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Thank you.
That's what I would think. So the fact that you can do this in this medium and then tie it into the sauces themselves is what kind of, I was like, that's really, really cool. But as far as Zander goes too, if you guys go and check out, so this is also some of your artwork here that you've done. And well, I don't know if it was this video or if there was a different video, and then the guy was holding the Spawn thing, and that's how you and I got talking about Spawn as well. But
yeah, it's down below. It's kind of a little bit further, actually.
I love this one, and they'll know why, because I'm obsessed with astronauts.
Oh, you know what? And that's actually a DJ friend of mine. So he is a character, a comic book character in his own mind, and so I actually mapped it out for him. This is his character right here. This is DJ C-Riz. And we're gonna be creating some comic strips and comic books. He's actually gonna be creating a soundtrack for that shopping experience, for that video that you showed with my pop-up shop and the customers with the artwork. So
very cool.
Creating a whole soundtrack for that. Oh, it's right there. Yeah, I see him actually.
And then this is what I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, are you gonna come up here? Come up. I don't know if it's why this one picture won't come up. So the bottles is then what I saw, and I was like, well, that's cool. You got the wax on the top, they're dipped and everything else, and that's super cool as far as that's concerned. But where it even tied into me more was that Xander was telling me, like, you got to go check out the shop. You got to go, look at what's going on. So then I went over to your website. Pull that up so I have that.
Woo! Little sneak peek. I saw
Ooh. Oh, oh, look at that. Whose website is that?
Hey, man. Here we go.
So, and you were having a sale, and I should have grabbed it when I could, because this was on sale for like $55 for the 4-pack. But I was scrolling down and I stopped and I was like, black garlic mandarin. I'm like, that I could think of, like that would be good in a dressing where you could do like an Asian inspired salad and put that in the dressing. It would be really good on pork and chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was this one, and I know Xander's not on this label, but I have to ask you about this one in particular because I'm super interested in it.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
burnt
So
banana, and it
I
says
always go,
sensational on
ooh.
corned beef, sweet potatoes, or
Mhm.
tortilla chips and salsa. So how did you come up with the burnt banana?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. It's funny because I was going to call it baked banana, but I was in the kitchen one day, and I have a thing with corned beef, hash, and a fried banana. Um,
I
and
would
I,
try that.
it was a how tree. It's this restaurant in Hawaii called the How Tree. It's right on the beach in Waikiki, and we used to go there, and they would serve it like that. They serve a fried banana with that, with the corned beef hash, and I'm like, how come everybody doesn't do this? It's just like it goes so well together. But then I was like, one St. Patty's Day, my wife's got a little Irish in her. She always likes to do her St. Patty's Day. I go, I need to do a banana hot sauce so I'm not frying a banana every time. I also make a banana yam for Thanksgiving. So I take bananas, cut up some yams, brown sugar, salt. You can try it out. Oh my God. And then you take that banana sauce and just baste it over top of the sweet potatoes. And I just kept saying, I need to make something with banana so I'm not, making these dishes all the time where I just have something to go to. And then I learned that the Philippines, they also do a banana ketchup.
Yes,
Um,
I've had it.
so yeah, and I was just like, well, and it was another one. There was another, my friend, just rest in peace. Um, he was the first guy I met in culinary school. And when we were like doing our stages, he came over to my house and he was so stoked that he made a banana and jalapeno sauce. And I go, what? You made a banana and jalapeno sauce? What is that? How does that even work? That was my first interaction with like a banana in a sauce. So this was years ago. And he's like, yeah, man, the restaurant wants to keep it. And then they hired me right after. So he was really excited that he came up with that recipe. So that stuck in my head as well. So when I came up with when I was doing the hot sauce, I just decided, let me go for it. Let me put, because I didn't want to boil the bananas like a lot of my salsas are boiled. This one I wanted to make it more of a controlled heat. So I baked it. So I put everything in the pot, onions, garlic, and Scotch bonnet peppers. I said Scotch bonnet is the only thing that will go. Being a Caribbean, saying this has to have like some Caribbean feel to it as well. And a lot of these recipes are like one shot, like, you only got one shot or you're going to waste all these ingredients. So in my head, I'm thinking, I know what I'm doing. I got this. I made it and I go, oh my God, what did I just do? This is kind of, I don't know about it. So I bottled it up. I gave it to a couple friends. And every time someone tastes it, they're like, that's my favorite flavor of yours. And I go, really? I wasn't really like, obviously sometimes the creator is not as fond of his own product until, the people try it. But my friend Luke tried it. He said, that's your best flavor, man. At the time, I only had like 4 or 5 flavors. And he said, that's your best flavor. You got to keep doing that. And I did. I kept working on the recipe. And I started putting, plantains, red bananas, yellow bananas. And it just became more of a savory sauce more than a sweet banana. So you get a hint of banana, but you don't get a whole lot of banana, and it's got a lot of heat as well. But it's got that thickness where everybody's like, it's gonna come out like baby food. Well, it's got a nice consistency, but it's something you want to like after you've had a taste of it. Because I tried it, at the Harbor Days. Oceanside has this Harbor Day festival, and that was back in August or September. And I had a guy working with me, so he tried it, and he's like, "Oh my God, that banana flavor!" So the whole day he's telling people, "You got to try this banana. You got to try this banana." I'm like, "Well, stop pushing the banana, man." you know. But he was right. He was absolutely right. Every time someone tried that first, they would go, "Oh, that's good," but that banana just stuck with me. And ever since then, it's been one of my like, one of my prized possession. But it was one of those things that you just stumble upon. I mean, all of these thoughts come in your head when you're making it because you've had experience with banana here, there. It's such a popular fruit. It's on everybody's kitchen table. But have you ever thought of putting it in a hot sauce? And that was one thing that was like, I got something here with this because I haven't seen anybody else make a banana hot sauce. Um, and everybody that tries it is blown away that it's actually good, So,
So what I thought about when I saw this and what I want to do for the cooking episode is when I saw you said sweet potatoes, I was like, all right, this is going to be, because now that you explained it's a little more savory, but my idea was to do a sweet potato pie for dessert, but then caramelize bananas and put this sauce into the caramel so that the burnt banana caramel sauce with the caramelized bananas to go over the top of the sweet potato pie. So that is where I was leaning towards as far as that recipe itself. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, that would work. Definitely. Definitely. Because you get the banana and you get the heat, So wow. You got some moves in you, don't you?
Ambition, let's put it that way. I mean, I did a whole a pork belly sandwich the other day, but I needed some acid. That one just didn't really work out for me. I mean, it was very good, but there was way too much fat in it as far as, that I needed something acidic and crunchy kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So some of these are, I assume that the ones that didn't say limited edition, and then some of them, actually, let's go back to the shop. Some of them say limited edition and some of them don't. So are there certain ones that you're always going to have versus certain ones that are going to be limited edition? And then is that where Zander comes in, is the limited edition ones are going to have the different characters on their label? Because I know Raspberry Reaper is the new one.
Yeah, and I just finished up that sauce, so I'm going to make sure that new character is on these bottles. And this is the Raspberry Reaper. It's probably one of my spiciest sauce. Obviously, you can't get away from the heat from a Carolina Reaper. But to your question, the mainstays are the mango habanero, because that was the one I first started with. I just wanted something that wasn't like cloyingly sweet out there. There's a lot of them on the market that have just they're super sweet. But this one kick-started the company, and this goes back to my salsa story, that I had a neighbor bring me over some just absolutely perfect habaneros that he grew in one summer. And at the time, I had a bunch of mangoes that I had on my counter. And he said, he brings them over to me and goes, "I don't know what to do with these, man. You're the chef." So my daughter was having her 6th birthday party, 6 or 7, and I was like, "Oh, let me make a salsa. Let me make them out of mango habanero." But I wanted to make a salsa, not a pico. So I decided to make the salsa, put it on the table, and I go, "You got to tell the kids they can't have this. This is not for kids."
Right.
My friends had it, some of the parents there, and they literally asked me, "Where'd you buy it?" And I go, "I didn't buy that, man. I made it." And they were like, "What? You made this?" One of my friends, he's Mexican, and he goes, "Man, I've had so many sauces in my life. This is the best sauce I ever had. You gotta start selling this." And they were so convincing that I just said, "Okay, I'll start trying to bottle some up for some friends, whatever." And that one came about, and then I started, I guess this continues with my first story. The obsession started to go into hot sauces as opposed to salsas, because I had some formula where it was still a nice consistency. It held, it didn't break, it had acidity, it had sweetness, and it had the spice, but it wasn't like cloyingly sweet. And I said, this is exactly what I've been needing, for that, to fill that void in the market of habanero mango hot sauce. And I made that, and then I made a jalapeno honey apple lime. So those two I call my eternal fires. Which, I mean, if I don't have it and someone orders it, I'm just going to make it, because I always got to keep those around. And that green sauce people started getting, and my neighbor, actually, his son, he calls it soy sauce. He he has to put it on his breakfast sandwich every morning, he says. So some of some of these sauces people just won't let me stop making. And I guess that's a good thing, for me. And I'm gonna, those two are mainstays, but I also know that the rest are so seasonal, because I'm using whole fruits, whole pods. So when you're using whole fruits, you got to wait around. Apricots, they're not all year round. And it's amazing when you start making stuff seasonal, when you start finding out what's not in the store year round. So stuff like that, I have to kind of wait in season, or I have to plan ahead, make enough, or have a backup plan. So I do have two eternal flames. The watermelon as well is one that I can kind of consistently have, and that's more of like a refreshing hot sauce. But like you said, I guess with Zander, and I'll let Zander take it from here, that the characters, came up with, I think the Pineapple Ghost was just kind of like a no-brainer, just with that, ghost, like, let's do it, and he did that, man. It was so impressive. He did that in one night. That kind of blew my mind. And that's where I was like, man, who is this kid? Who's this boy, this wonderkin, it's just coming up with this idea. And, the rough draft onto, make it digital, and it was just like, man, that is super cool.
This one I thought was a no-brainer too, because
yes,
you got a Reaper, and then you put the raspberry head. I was just like, dude, that's just genius, like, how better to and the color scheme that you have there, bringing in, the dark purple and then the orange behind it, it just, it makes it seem like he's coming out of the pits of hell and everything
Absolutely.
else. And I can tell you from experience, Reapers are like coming out of the pits of hell sometimes, especially when the next day. So, hey, Elam, how are you? But okay, so I mean, Zander, is that where you get your inspiration from? Is you take, like, okay, what is the most straightforward path to making this? Because I know when you're dealing with a product, it has to be something that's recognizable, and it has to be something. The graphic has to be something that will catch the eye of the buyer. Number one. Number two, explain what's in that package. And number three is something that people can get behind, because honestly, I think the graphics that Zander has made, I mean, this could turn into t-shirts and beanies and coasters and all that kind of stuff that you can actually, I mean, I would buy this shirt right off the bat. I would buy this shirt.
It'd be a beautiful orange shirt too, you know what I'm saying?
We were just talking about that.
Full body, beautiful orange, you know what I mean? All that. Yeah, and actually that is a good example, is when I started to, I've been into art my whole life. Like, ever since I was a little kid, I was drawing. But as far as my business, and when I started to go into that aspect of art, it was, I want to be a comic book artist. That's really what it came down to. I read comics. I love comics. And they always say never judge a book by its cover. But with comic books, unfortunately, that's all I ever did. And so I didn't start reading the inside of my comic books until I was an adult. And that's actually just the kind of the story of my life. I've always been involved in that pop, that reason to open it, that reason to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So With everything that I was doing as far as taking sketches to my computer, once I got my Surface Pro, this was about 7 years ago. I no longer had room to sketch. Everything had to be a final product. And I kind of throughout the last 7 years have developed a style that I believe is to make product. It's to highlight what that product is. So with Sai's hot sauce, I actually got to enjoy his hot sauce. I actually bought a bottle of his hot sauce as a supporter because it looked awesome. He was awesome. I got to taste it, matter of fact. So I got to even experience it before I got to purchase it, which he offered. You know what I mean? I know that sounds simple, but I don't extend myself too much further out than my studio, my business, my relationships. So when I do, it's again a God wink moment. All those moments are the universe or spirituality for me. So I try to take that experience and just put it into my work, whether it's for hot sauce or not. The artwork alone will be collector's edition artwork, so even if you didn't know it was a part of hot sauce, you're gonna love it for the art of it. You're gonna be going, wow, that's really cool. But the fact that it's tied into hot sauce, the fact that it's got a comic strip coming, that it's got stories, it's got a size story, it's got he's creating through his bottles a platform through my artwork to tell the story of another artist. Even eventually, once he has enough stories out there that says his hot sauce journey, there will be a potential room to tell other artists the stories through comic books, through hot sauce.
So have you seen this guy? This is Javon Jordan.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So Hail Crow, and this is one of the foils, and this is signed by the whole group that did Last Ronin. So Eastman, you can see Eastman in the middle. And one of the things that I noticed about him is he is a smaller comic book guy. He's not a mainstream. He's not at Marvel. He's not at DC. He's not at Image. And what caught because I'm a huge Turtles fan, is what caught my eye was the Last Ronin homage. And most of his covers have been homages. So he just did one with the Eminem cover that came out.
Love it.
Yeah, he did an homage with Hail Crow on that. He's done some really cool, but these things are selling for, I think with the 7 of those on there, that's like a $250, $300 comic book right there.
Right.
And I think people, and this is why I like the two of you guys together, is that you're doing small batch hot sauces. You are up and coming as far as going into the comics and everything else. And so it kind of meshes well as far as the ideals that you guys have, because of the fact that this is where people are going to. People are not shopping so much big box anymore. There's malls that are closing down all over the place. Brick and mortar is not where it's at anymore. Now it is direct to consumer, either social media or website. That's where the people are picking up. The street fair thing, I love it. I will go to a farmer's market and I'll try anything. So how many bottles do you get out of, when you say small batch? I mean, someone like Nabisco's small batch might be a 10 million units. Whereas what is your small batch? Like, say that you're doing it small batch. How small of a batch is it that you're doing for the limited edition?
About a 40 quart pot. And usually, if I fill that up, I could get about 200 bottles, but I usually don't fill that up. It's about half the pot, and like today, I did 72 bottles of this Raspberry Reaper. Okay. So that's going to be about 70 bottles of this Reaper is going to be a limited edition with Zander's creation on there. And from my business is basically, I always tell people it's small batch. It's basically like a fresh salsa in a bottle that has a really long shelf life. We tell you keep it in the refrigerator, make sure that it's fresh and stays fresh. But I think the biggest batch that I do that I can get is about 150 that I've done. So I really do care about the ingredients and the quality of ingredients that goes into the batch. I grow a lot of my chilies as well. Oh, wow. And obviously, as you try to grow. And I think that came from Hawaii. Just it was a bread basket. You stick anything in the ground and it'll grow. So I got a love for it out there. And then obviously moving to California, San Diego, it's comparable. The weather's nice enough to keep it going. And they're so ornamental. When these peppers grow, each one you're just like, oh man, it's coming in. Can't wait till it changes colors. And I'm literally like a kid, laying on his stomach with his his fist on his chin, watching these things grow sometimes. So I'm definitely doing what I think what I was meant to do, especially having such a love for spicy food my whole life. These are definitely genuinely small batch. Like I'm not even considering a co-packer. Everybody tells me you should just get a co-packer, let them do the work for you. That way you can sell. I like to make it. That's part of it, is being the chef behind it, and exploring the different flavor profiles of these chilies. Like the Green Flash that's a green mustard chili, and that's a kind of a newer chili to the market. I think the Pepper X has been out for about 10 years, and those growers in England, they made that chili to try to overtake the Reaper. And so many, I think other growers have been doing the same thing, where they're getting this, and I like dealing with other growers as well, because they take pride in what they're doing. So the guy I was getting these green mustard chilies, he's from Stockton, California, and he's growing these. They're some mean little guys.
It's the smaller they are, that's like the worse they are.
Yeah, they were mean. Oh my God. And I stuck them in the Green Flash because a lot of people were asking me to do a keto friendly one, because I do put a little cane sugar in most of the flavors, just for balance. Cane sugar, sea salt, vinegars, kind of the natural preservatives. But this one was going to be just give me the sting, of that green chili pepper, some tomatillos, vinegar, and sea salt, lots of garlic and lots of onion. And what I've been getting from that Green Flash is a lot of people saying this is the best taco hot sauce I've ever had. And that means a lot. You were there when that guy told me that, and this was an older gentleman who said he had his own hot sauce company.
Oh yeah, man.
And I go, coming from you, that's a huge compliment. If you got your own hot sauce company, you're telling me I got the best sauce. Like you're just supposed to keep that secret. But it's a huge compliment. So I appreciate all the love that I get. And that's what keeps me going, really, because I was a food service director for a number of years, and that just wasn't fulfilling the passion that I had for cooking. It's more so the spice. The one that is probably my number one, says that soy good garlic.
Mm-hmm.
That one is probably the only one that I ferment a little bit. Obviously, the black garlic Mandarin has black garlic, which is fermented, but I buy that. Right. I don't ferment that myself. But the soy garlic I do ferment, and it was a process that my dad used to do. Like I said, he dabbled in Chinese herbalism, so he always had tinctures and dirt that he would stick in our mouths. Take this, boy, and we're like, what? I don't want that, So, but we were healthy. We were super healthy kids. And eating that even more so, we smelled like garlic all the time, but who cared? It was delicious. But it was something I had to get out to the world, decided to make this soy good garlic. And it is so umami and it's so garlicky. So it's made with tamari sauce, soy sauce, Fresno chilies, habaneros. But that's one of those ones where I was just like, okay, now we're doing what like you said, this is not necessarily coming from me. This is something that is higher than me sometimes, when you're talking about these ingredients, I didn't make that recipe up. My dad did, but I remembered that it was so special to me. I need to get it out there to the rest of the world. So I continue with these processes.
So Zander, and I hope I'm allowed to say this, but I know one of the next steps that you guys have been talking about is actually doing a comic strip on the bottles.
Yes,
So
yes.
how is that going to work? And how many parts to it? Is it going to be something like people can buy the whole series in one shot, or is it going to be something where it's like a collectible? So every month you get a different part.
So yeah, so we're gonna be distributing it. This is after we get some of the base characters done. We'll have probably 10 by the end of this month. So then that's when we're gonna start working in these stories, like the story of his father's recipe. We'll be able to tell that story maybe in four bottle different strips. So again, they're gonna be 4 panels. So actually 4 cells, and each panel will be one of those characters that you see on the bottle. Um, they're gonna be the character that tells that story. So however that goes, yes, me and him are gonna be working on making the actual storylines for it. What did we want to see? They're gonna just be little quick guys, you know what I mean? Just little
Mhm.
quick, oh, that's cool. And so that's how we're gonna distribute that story. But all of them are going to be available as a full comic strip by Comic-Con LA, which would be December of 2023. And so it's going to be an actual comic strip sheet like you would see in like the old newspapers, like Garfield and all that.
Very
And that
cool.
would be within my comic book, my original comic book that's separate from all of the collaborations that I'm doing with other artists. But all of the work that we create will be introduced into that comic book. So that's the further down the line. But between me and Sai, yes, that's what we're doing. We're building a story. Right now we're building characters, and we're trying to distribute this story and these characters through hot sauce bottles. Again, I do artwork. We sell our prints. So we're going to be doing an art series on top of it. So I'll be able to bring my world to him even further, as well as he's brought his world into mine. And so that we're just going to keep evolving that way. I want people to be able to collect the characters and get invested with those every day when it's on their wall, every day when they put it on their eggs. I want them to, that's how they get to know it. And then when that story comes on the bottle, that's how they'll be able to read the story. And then by the end of the year, again, that's when we distribute it to the industry. That's when we show the world. And we're bringing it to the street already, but when you've been to Comic Cons, you've been to those things. This is the world now coming to us, where we're at the street. This is our neighborhood. This is our state. Sometimes, yeah, we live in San Diego, so we get everyone from all over. So we actually are in a much different situation. We live in a holy Mecca city, you know what I mean? And
Right.
it's truly one of the best ones in California. I'm not, no knocks to anyone else, but SD.
Oh, I love San Diego. When I was
Yeah.
out there, I love San Diego. Where was I? I've been to Huntington. I stayed there the first time, and then the second time I was near Laguna.
Oh,
So we drove down past because I wanted to see the base. One of my brother's really good friends was in the Navy, and he was stationed in San Diego, and so
beautiful.
I just wanted to see it because he was out to sea, I think, at that point. And I thought that was really cool. So if I'm getting this right, for LA Comic Con, you guys are kind of going in together. And I have not seen anyone pull a hot sauce, which I think hot sauces in particular are like that thing where people like jump on them.
Oh
And
yeah.
I mean, I've been to a couple of Comic Cons now. I've never seen anybody bring the collaboration of the food and, the comic or the characters together. So are you guys going to be at LA Comic Con together?
So if I can answer that question in a
Absolutely.
way, is me and my girlfriend, me and my wife are actually, we run our business together. So some of the artwork that you even saw that you were showing with the people holding it, some of that's actually hers.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to Comic-Con as our company, Zander Comics, Ariana Page Artworks. Me and Sai are doing collaboration, and my not just my goal, but what I'm gonna be doing is I'm forming the Avengers. That's what I've been calling it. I'm forming the Avengers of 2023. I meet a lot of people while I'm out here, and I want us to make something, quantify it into a product, quantify it into an experience, and I'm gonna bring that product to the Comic-Con. I'm gonna bring that whole entire experience to Comic-Con. So Sai will be there because he's gonna be a featured artist, and he's gonna be doing a signing for an hour or two
Cool.
each day. So he's a featured artist. So I'm trying to create that platform for, again, the Avengers. I'm gonna do my Nick Fury thing, but I want all of you superheroes to come out and save the world. And I believe that artists are the superheroes. You know, we create them, but we don't ever really get to, we don't really ever get to fly sometimes. You know what I mean? And I think the independent game has really taken a total different change. Now we can all kind of be like a Todd McFarlane. You know what I mean? We can all create our own image. And that's a beautiful story in itself. You know what I'm saying? As far as we all know what he did, you know what I mean? So my inspirations pull from that. I'm Stanley. I'm Todd. I am greatness, as well as all of us. Look at us. We look good on this screen right now. You know what I'm saying? So we're changing the game as we speak. And so that's what I want. I want Sai to be a featured artist, to be highlighted and have that moment where he's signing bottles, he's signing paper prints, and these are characters that go to his brand. Again, my artwork, of course, but it's not about me. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna do what I do. Like I make money on my artwork because I go out there and sell it. But I put that work in because I love this. I'm grateful to be a full-time artist. I'm grateful to not have to clock in anywhere and, I have to figure it out. Oh, okay. Well, that's a blessing. Thank you. And so I'm just trying to give that to as many people that I believe deserve it. And when I mean deserve it, it doesn't mean that no one doesn't deserve it. It's that I vibe with certain individuals. I vibe with, certain people. And so we can make things kind of happen quick because of that vibration. I don't ever waste time. So this is not a waste. And I know that, you know what I mean? No matter what comes from any of it, the energy that's given and taken and morphed together is going to change the world inevitably. And if that means a few individuals, well then, hey, one day at a time, one person at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's kind of a tangent off of that, but yeah, that's so in essence, I'm gonna be doing what I do at Sai with another 10 individuals.
Okay. So
yeah.
It's like a whole showcase then.
It's a whole showcase. So like I mentioned earlier, my friend C-Riz, DJ C-Riz, he's also a producer. We're gonna be creating a tape cassette, actually, and I have his tapes right here. So we're creating a tape cassette. This is one of his tapes here. And
we're going back to cassettes.
It's good. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's also what
I said.
Bring the art of music and the art of comic books together as one, because every artist, no matter what we do, if we draw or whatever it is, we're probably got some frequencies in the back. We probably got some music playing in our home, in our head even. So I just want to take that world and showcase what it is. So we're creating a tape cassette, and that's going to be the soundtrack you hear when you come to our store at the pop-up shops. This is what you'll hear when we're at Comic-Con and you're shopping at our store. You'll hear his beats, and then you'll be able to buy it as a product.
Oh, that's cool.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it'll be free on all streaming platforms. So there's no gimmick with any of this stuff. It's, do you see value? Do you support what we're doing? Because you don't have to, and I'm going to do this regardless. So whenever it is that they choose that option to support, I'm going to pay homage to you by working, by going harder the next go around, by trying to figure out ways to involve my, like how you said, I got your attention by doing something almost what spammers do. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to promote interview. And so that's how we got dialogue.
Right. And I noticed the video and I was like, that's the Figure X video. I'm like, so I know this is legit. And it wasn't like the other one that just mentioned me in their story selling some sweater I would never put on my body. It was that, and taking the chance that you're doing is what was awesome, because it caught my attention. Immediately caught my attention because we had a shared person that we both really liked.
Right.
And it was great. So I have another question for you. Do you do commissions? Because another God Winks moment, because we are both Spawn fans. I will show you. I got this the other day in an auction. It's the Batman Spawn #1 blank black and white. And so what I'd like to do is, when I get it, I'd like to talk to you about how much you would charge for a commission, but I'd like to send that comic out to you and have you do your thing, because I have another one that a friend did. I haven't put it in a case yet, but this is a friend of mine did that for me.
That's beautiful.
But before you explode into the atmosphere and you're unreachable, I'd love to get your take from someone who's a fellow lover of the character to do that.
Of course. I mean, you know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna do it, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I've never done anything like this real, because I've done my own covers and I never posted them because I just have never done it justice as far as like the Spawn blank number ones and stuff. So I would love to, and I would not be afraid to, and even when things are astronomical, you know what I'm saying? My point is I'm a people person, I'm here for the people. People got me here. So I'm gonna put my best into anything that I do. So I would actually love to do something like that. It's just a little scary because I've never done nothing like that, and I feel like there's a lot of trust.
And no pressure, because no matter what, it's like something is gonna be special, because this is how our friendship started. And so this is the reason I got it, and I went hard on this trying to get it, was during an auction on Whatnot, is because I was like, I want to send this to Zander because I want to see what you can do with it. And that was the whole thing. Like, I knew this show was coming. This happened, I think, is either Sunday or Monday is when I picked this up. So this was already planned, and I was like,
damn.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know they did a blank cover. And I have the Barnes & Noble's exclusive of Batman Spawn #1.
Yeah.
So I was like, it doesn't matter what you do to it. You can do whatever you want. I've got some really cool blanks that people have done with Batman on it. I don't know what else. I have like 400 new comic books now, but it would be an honor for me to be able to add this back to my collection with your artwork on it, knowing that, we've started our friendship now, and I really do hope that it continues. With both of you guys. And I have put Zander's information on his Instagram in the description, as well as I've got Sai's link to his website if you guys are interested in buying the hot sauces. That is in the description as well. As I said, once I get those, and the more that we've been talking tonight, guys, I think I want to do pork belly with the black garlic mandarin. So I was like, I can pull that back in, and not only can I put it in the marinade for the pork belly itself, but then I can put that in the slaw, which is that acid that I needed for that sandwich. So I think that's what I'll probably do with that one.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so I mean, I will let you guys know when I'm doing the live cooking demonstration. I just got a new rig for the camera, so it'll actually be above the stove,
awesome.
And I don't have to like tape it to my mom's microwave. So I've got the rig now for the camera and everything else, but I'd like to bring this full circle and then actually do the taste testing of it and, show what you can do with the products as well. So we get a pretty good turnout tonight. Not as great because there's other shows that are going on at this same time of night. But I get a lot of people that follow up with me afterwards. Like, dude, I just caught the replay of this and oh my gosh. And da.
Right.
So, I will also put links up, if not tonight, tomorrow morning, for links to the websites as well. And I've linked them several times today as far as their Instagram. So make sure that you guys both go check out Zander and Sai. If you're into the hot sauces, I mean, you've got every level of heat as far as what I can see. And the sweet definitely knocks the heat down. So take a chance. My pain after doing one chip lasted me one day. So even if you went with the Raspberry Reaper, I mean, you're not looking at too much pain as far as eating that whole freaking chip. So, I want to thank you guys. I know it's been about an hour, and I got to get up in the morning to go to. It's 9:45 here, so I have to get up in the morning and drive over towards the state capitol. Sorry, the dog's in my lap, so that's what I've been doing.
Hey, doggy.
This is Fenway. Fenway's a rescue, and she's about 12. So she gets up in my lap during shows half the time. So if you see little ears popping up, it's that's what she's doing. She's in my lap. But I wanted to thank you guys both for the opportunity. This is like my first real Geek Meets Eats. We've done Harry Potter and Star Wars recipes, but as far as interviewing and getting back to the roots of how I started, it's been fun to do this, and I cannot wait to see where you guys take this as far as developing it, and I can't wait to try the sauces. I really can't.
I mean, For real.
Yeah,
Oh, it's been
a
fun, guys.
pleasure. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Definitely.
Thank you guys again. All their information is in the description for this video. If you have any questions, you can reach out to them on Instagram and give them a follow and some love, guys. So next week, I will be back with Handmade by Robots. Mary's coming back and fulfilling a bet that we made last weekend. So it'll be fun. I'm sure she'll have some new stuff to drop. Zander, like I said, swing by. I'm sure she'll answer any questions that you may have. So
Most
she's
definitely.
really easy to talk to.
Most definitely. Can I say something real quick for the
go.
viewers? Hey, whatever it is that you got on your mind and your heart, just pull it out, because things like this will happen. It's not guaranteed that it'll be what you thought, but the universe or the higher power, your God, whatever it is, it's gonna bring it full circle always. And so again, I'm so honored and appreciative of this moment, because this is spiritual. And you are doing something so amazing that I don't even know if you know how epic you are. And so
Thank
you.
We're honored. I'm truly, truly honored to even be doing something like this. A lot of sleepless nights. I know we can all attest. You know what I mean? We pull it out of ourselves. And so I'm just proud of all of us, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys both. I mean, it's been an amazing, and hey, let's keep this going. And we'll, I like I said, there's lots more to come, guys. With me, with both of you. So bigger and better things, and much love.
Yes,
much love. Keep living the hot sauce good life.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. We will see you next Tuesday back at our normal time at 7:00. We will 7:30, depending on Mary. But we'll be back next week with Handmade by Robots. Have a great night, everybody.
Right.